Hey, it's Dr. Day. Just popping in here this afternoon to discuss something with you. Had a person to call me, and she's always calling, and whenever she calls, it's because some kind of situation with a person that she was in, a relationship has gone sour. The women drama, I love her dearly, but sometimes I just get so tired. And I even said today that after this, I'm not going to keep going through this circle. I think I said this in one of my previous videos how I wasn't going to deal with this no more. But I popped on here because she gave me something to think about today. And in my book, Single and Sold Out to God, I reflect on I was that type of person. And I call that type of person a why me syndrome person. Why me? When keep continue to asking the question, excuse me, why is for what purpose? Okay, what reason does this continue to go on? And the syndrome is the consistent repeating of things, become repeated consistently over and over. And so as I was listening to her ramping and raving, I said, okay, girlfriend. And so I just wanted to share something with you. I was looking in First John, verse 6, excuse me, and it says, if we claim that we share life with him, talking about Jesus, but keep walking the rim of darkness, we fooling ourselves and not living the truth. And so I thought about her and I thought about me when I was, one time in that why me syndrome. And some of us, you might identify with somebody, why I keep having the same type of relationships, why he keeps breaking up with me, why I can't find nobody, why I'm in this baby mama daddy drama situation, why I can't lose weight, why I can't do this, and it becomes such a revolving door of why me. You know how you go through a revolving door and you push it in, and the reason you're going through the door is because you're trying to come out on the other side of some place. And many times we pushed you. If you ever pushed a revolving door, and I had this happen to me one time, I pushed it, and instead of it revolving where I can exit out, it just got stuck right there. And this is what happened to many of us ladies. We get stuck. We get stuck in relationships that are not healthy for us. Why? Because we're nurturers by default, nurturers. Maybe we're just wired that way, I believe, and we always want to feel like we need someone to validate us. We need someone to be holding our hands, someone to just affirmed of it all the time. And so you find yourself going around this revolving door. So, and instead of it stopping for you to exit and go someplace else, you get stuck right there and you go around and around. And it's not even really stuck, it's just a continuous cycle of going around and around. And this is what I had to share with her. And I'm like, girl, this is just a continuous cycle. First of all, you have to admit, and what did the word says? We keep walking in the rim of darkness. You're fooling yourselves and not living the truth. The truth, baby girl, you're the common denominator. The truth is you're the problem. The truth is you allow someone to dictate to you who you are and what you need. I mean, it's just like Tony Gaston says, point blank, period. It's no other reason, as no other excuse. You're all the one. And you live in darkness. Why do I say you live in darkness? Because that flesh always wants to be appeased, or whatever the word is. The flesh always wants to be satisfied. And so you stay in this dark hole. You just go down this rabbit hole and you just stay there, and you find yourself always spiraling out, and you just going around like a funnel in a tornado. You just keep doing it over and over, all just because you want to have someone. And then you have to really sit down and think about the type of people that you are attracting, the men that you are attracting, or like Tony Gaskins once again says, I give credit what's credit is due. This is his words. He said that is these grown boys, okay? These grown boys. I have met people recently. I've been out of a relationship for the last 4 years, and I'm not even trying to look for a relationship. But like I said, if God wants me to have a significant other, he'll find me, because I'm not going out there looking, because I don't have the time and the energy on some of these people. And I'm beginning to realize it doesn't matter what age you are. I'm in my senior years. Uh, to be exact, I am 71. And even some of the men in my age group, what is the problem? Is it because you have been, and usually most of them, like women, have been in a relationship for 20 or 30 years, and their significant other has gone on to glory. And so the only thing that they know was those 20, 30 years is that person. So because they knew that person, they're just so familiar with that person, and they in the process have lost who they are. So they try to go back out there in the dating field, and they haven't been out there in 20 or 30 years, and they stuck from those 20 years ago. Okay. And they haven't, their mind haven't expanded, their mind haven't changed. It's just like they stuck and they're set in their ways. And I don't have time to be babysitting nobody. So I say all that to say I'll probably be single. But this why me syndrome is just why he said he was going to divorce his wife. Now, baby girl, if he had divorced his wife in the time span, okay, say usually they give you a time span. They say, well, I'm going to divorce my wife in 2 years. Okay, and it's been 10 years, baby girl, he ain't divorcing his wife. You're just that whatever booty call, side piece, whatever the terminology. They change stuff so much. You just can't even keep up of the terminology that people use. That's who you are in essence. That person is not going to leave their significant other for you. Now, on the flip side, if you think they are, just think about what you did to get them and how you intervene in that covenant marriage, and they leave their wife, and say they do divorce their wife or their significant other, and they come to you. Do you know not think that karma is okay? Yeah, that might sound a little harsh, whatever. I don't even really know what that means, but I know sometimes what goes around comes around. That I do know. So you have to sit down and really take a Selah moment, examine yourself, examine who you are, and examine what is it that you want. Now, the reason I can come on here and I can say some of the things that I say is because I have more years behind me than I have in front of me. I have lived through some things. I have experienced some things. I have been around the world serving in the United States military. I've been to 9 different countries. So I've learned I've learned to observe people. Not saying that I'm an expert in people, because I don't want to categorize and put everybody in the same category, because we're not. But by default in human nature, most humans are the same. We want to be loved. We want to be stroked. We want to be cared for. All those things that it takes, that we think it takes to make us whole and complete. We think we need that from another person. No other person except for Jesus Christ can make you whole. No other person have the attributes and the qualities and the characteristics that Jesus have, that can satisfy you, that can make you happy. And one of the things that I have learned is that happiness is within me. I control my happiness. So if I'm controlling my happiness, I don't have to be crying, why me? Why he broke up with me? Why I can't find love? Why he this and why she that? Because I am the one that has the control of my life. I either can go with the flow or I can keep it moving. And so I've learned through the years that even when I was in my why me syndrome, and we all have been in there. I mean, you don't fool yourself now. Don't say I ain't never say why, because the why might not have been part of a relationship situation. It could be why did I go the wrong way? Why did I take this detour? Why did I buy that car? Your why could be anything. But when you continue to keep on asking yourself why, you have to understand that there's a reason and a purpose why you keep asking yourself why. What is the whole picture of your why? And 9 times out of 10, your why is you. I had to learn this, and you have to learn this. And the why me is all a part of the flesh, because the flesh wants to do what the flesh wants to do. Nobody puts anything to your head and tell you you have to do this, you have to get into this relationship. You choose to do it. The flesh is just wants to be appeased and stroked all the time. And usually 9 times out of 10, when that flesh wants to be appeased or pleased or whatever the word, it's because it's a part of your lust that you going through. We all lust after things, whether you say you don't. Because what did I say you? If you keep walking in the realm of darkness and you keep giving yourself excuses why you behave the way you behave, you're going to keep walking in the darkness. And what did it says? And you're not living in the truth. Unfortunately, the truth will set you free. And many people don't want to hear the truth. Many people like to sugarcoat things. And you know when your flesh is craving for something. Now, let me give you an example. If you go to a restaurant and you order steak, and the steak it hasn't come yet, and so you looked at the menu and you said, I want a ribeye, medium rare, whatever. I'm not a steak person, so I don't know how you eat it, but I just heard the words ribeye, well done, medium rare, whatever the way you want the steak, because that's your preference. That's the preference that you have. And that's like relationships. You have a preference, you have a preference of what type of person that you want to commingle with. And so as you're sitting there and you might be fellowshipping with people and blah blah blah, y'all going through all that, and then all of a sudden you see the waiter coming. Then all of a sudden your salivatory glands start doing something. Your mind is like, boy, I'm going to really enjoy this steak. I can't wait to get this knife and cut into this steak and eat this steak. And so they put the plate in front of you, and when they put it down, it's like all of a sudden you get this surge, you get this something going through your body, because now your brain has analyzed or looked. I'm not a psychiatrist or nothing like that, but your brain says, "Boy, do that steak look good? Boy, that steak sure gonna taste good." And so this is what we do. And when we see people and we want to be in relationships, boy, he sure look good. Boy, she sure look good. Okay. Not knowing the flavor of what we say is looking good. We don't know the other things that go in to the steak for it to look good. They had to season it, they had to wash it, they had to pound it, whatever it is they did to make this steak pleasing to you. So you don't know this. And so this is just like relationships. You don't know that person that you trying to get in a relationship. You're getting to know them. And of course, the flaws and all the red stuff, some of them will show it in the beginning, Then some of them are so good of masking because people wear masks. Okay, that we do. We may wear masks where you don't really see until the mask is taken off and you see the real person, because now you're looking in their eyes and you can see through them because your eyes is the window of your soul. And so you don't see all of this. And so you dab in there and you enjoying that steak, and everything is good, and you finish, you push your plate back, get your little dental floss, and floss your toothpick and all that, and your stomach is satisfied. And then maybe you get home and all of a sudden you get this queasy feeling in your stomach, and your stomach is hurting, and you realize it was from that steak that you ate. So then you start saying, well, why did I go to that restaurant? Why did I eat that steak? Why this and why that? That's just anything in life. You're going to have a why, especially if it don't come out to your satisfaction or if it don't come out to your liking. You're going to have a why me syndrome. We all been there, done that, wore that t-shirt, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. But I have come to learn after listening to her. I thought about me when I was in my why me. I was in a relationship with an individual, 30 something years. You might have known my story and you might just come on here listening to me, but I was in a relationship with someone 30 something. So after the relationship, I was, why did he marry me? Why did this? Why did I stay in there? Why did the first 15 years we talked? He left and then came back 11 years. Why let him come back? Came back for 7 years, then left in 4. I mean, so I had all these why me, and I had to learn that it was me. I was the one that controlled the narrative, but I didn't control it. I allowed the person to control it. So when they controlled it, it took me into my why me syndrome that caused me to second guess a lot of things. I learned some valuable lessons. And this is what life is about. Life is about lessons. And if you don't learn something, you'll repeat it over and over. Just like when you're in school. If you don't learn what you need to learn in the first grade, you'll repeat the first grade until you get it. And so sometimes it take us going through relationships and the why me syndrome to learn some lessons, get over them, keep moving, and share your lessons with other people. And this is exactly what I'm doing because I've been there. I've been in that why me. I thought that what was in front of me was so appeasing and looked so good. Just like, if you think about Eve in the Garden of Eden, and I was thinking about this the other day in the Garden of Eden, we don't know how long they was in the garden. We don't know none of that. All we know that she was in the garden. We don't know how many apples was on the tree. Um, man said it was apples. We don't know what it was. It was a fruit. But we're going to stick with that apple. The apple was dangling from the tree. We don't know how many times Eve passed back and forth. She had to have seen those apples. She had to seen them because God had given them this luscious paradise place full of everything that we can even imagine or even think. And she had to have seen them. But her mind was never focused on that apple of that tree until the enemy brought it to her attention. And that's what he does with us. He brings, sometimes you could be just be innocently looking at a person and say, like that. But then all of a sudden the enemy gives you these suggestions in your mind. What if? Why not? What if? Why not? So you take the what if You act on the what if, and then after the what if disappoints you, then you go into the why me. That's what I had to learn. But I learned some key lessons, and I just want to share with you what I learned. The first thing I learned from my why me experience is I had to be honest with myself and acknowledge the pain. And like I was telling her, you have to acknowledge the pain. The person has hurt you. Move on. We don't like pain, like you stump your toe or cut your finger. It's painful, but it'll heal when you allow Jesus to be the healer. It'll heal. It might take time. Some people would take longer, but it's all you of what you contribute to help in your healing process. Because a therapist, a psychiatrist, they can't heal you, baby. They can give you the medical application of your healing, but your healing is determined by you allowing Jesus and the Father and the Holy Ghost to heal you spiritually. Then the soul, will, and emotions of the soul will be healed. But when your soul is jacked up, it'll cause your spirit man to be jacked up. And I had to learn that. So I had to acknowledge the pain that I put myself in because didn't nobody drag me into that relationship. The first time he left, that should have been a lesson. I allow him to come back thinking I knew I had changed because I know during this time I was gun ho for the Lord. That's when my book Single and Sold Out to the Lord came. I wrote that, and I was flowing. I was on a roll for the Lord. Wasn't thinking about a man. My husband, had passed. It was deceased. I wasn't thinking about a man. So I was rolling for the Lord. I was gun ho. I was doing all of that, but the enemy knew that I wanted to have a helpmate or somebody to walk the journey with me, but I compromised and I settled because I was familiar with that relationship before. So instead of trying to wait till God put someone in the path that would be my errand and hold up my arms, I went before him and accepted something from my past that I knew was not good for me. And when I did that, that is when I went right back another time, the second time, and it, realizing that I was the common denominator. I should have just left it alone. Just when you called me and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's up? I hadn't heard from you in a long time. I was thinking about you." And you know how we get women when, guys call us, and especially if you've had emotional feelings toward that person and they come back around the block like Tony Gaston says, spinning the block, you know, you're easy to fall for because you were familiar with that situation. And that's the way I was. I was familiar with the situation. So I chose to do that. And so after it was over, I had to acknowledge the pain of what I did to myself. And once I did that, I learned to not continue to sit there and say, why me? The other thing I learned is I had to, when I was crying, why me? I had to really sit down and think about, um, I had to stop thinking that I was the only one going through this. So even now, when she called me and was telling me about the situation, I had to I had to tell her that you're not the only person that's going through, whether we be male, female, purple, green, orange, or blue. We're all humans that when relationships don't work out, and I'm not a relationship expert, I only know about my relationship so I can talk, but talking to other people, I can kind of see the similarities. It might not be dot to dot exactly like mine, but it's some similar things in there that um, women tend to think that they're the only ones that's going through relationship problems. You're not. Men go through relationship problems. The difference is they want to be macho. They don't want people, their homeboys and everybody to know that they're having some issues that they would like to resolve within themselves, or issues that they need to talk about with somebody. So they'll suppress it in. And then when they suppress it in and they get someone like you who's strong and independent and everything, then that little boy, like Tony Gaskins always said, the little grown boys start to surface and spiral. So you have to understand that you are not the culprit. You are not the problem. So stop singling yourself out and just sit down, take a moment, and think about what did you learn from that lesson, because every situation in your life there is a lesson to be learned, unless you don't want to learn lessons, and you just want to repeat them. Like I said, you in the first grade and you didn't learn the first grade, you are not going on to second grade. Now they do pass people and let them go on, and then by the time they get to the fifth grade, they really lost. And that's how some people with relationships, they don't learn a lesson, and they just keep, like I said, a revolving door, like a carousel ride that go around and around and around and around, and wondering why they're not moving forward in either relationships with a significant other or relationships with other people in general, or even in themselves. So I learned I had to stop singling myself out and stop crying, why me, and recognize that I'm not the only person that have gone through this, whatever it was that I was going through. The other thing that I learned after my why me syndrome stopped was, um, I didn't rely, I didn't let it become my reality. In other words, I was not the mistake. Now, I have my own issues. I have my own faults. I ain't saying that I was perfect. Nope, excuse me, I'm not saying that. But I was not the mistake. We both were the mistake. The mistake in the initial process was we were unequally yoked, point blank, period. And when you find yourself in a relationship and you unequally yoked, it is not going to work, especially if Jesus Christ is not the center of the relationship. If he is, you two are out here and there's nothing in there but flesh and lust, it is not going to work. And you're going to find yourself, why me? Why he left me? Why? You're going to find that. The other thing that I learned, and I had to stop, um, you know, taught me to stop saying why me is, I had to stop thinking that I was a victim. So you got to replace your victim mentality with purpose. Stop punishing yourself. You didn't do nothing wrong, baby girl. You were just being you. You just want to be loved. You just wanted to be cuddled, and that's all good. Stop punishing yourself, because too many times we punish ourselves for things that other people do when we allow them to do it. So you have to make a choice. Either you're going to change you, because you can't change nobody else. You either going to change you and change you for the better, put Jesus in the forefront of everything that's pertaining to you through his word. Get in the word. Get in the word of God. Know what the word says about you. Know what the word says you can do. Know what the word says when you make a mistake. The word said we all fall short. Okay? If you make a mistake, don't punish yourself because God still loves you. He might not like what you did, but He still loves you. Why? Because He is love. And so, as I learned those, four things that I gave you, I learned that I don't have to cry, why me? And I will not put myself in another relationship to cry, why me? Because I don't have to cry, why me no more. Because me was that old person, and I'm a new creature in Christ. And so I've learned through the word who I am. I stand on those principles, those morals, those precepts, and those concepts and those commands, and nobody else. And even if that person, I haven't heard from him in 4 years, don't even know where he at, I'm praying all is well because I do pray, keep him in my prayers. I don't know. But if he should to call, now that don't make sense. If he was to call right now, I will not fall for that okie dokie that I fell for before. Why? Because I'm not that person before. I'm not that why me. I'm not that person that consistently allowed me to go over and over and over and over the same bush. Because even when he left the first time and came back the second time, he was still the same person. I had changed, but what I did was I started maneuvering and situating myself to accommodate him, to appease him. And baby, don't appease no man. Okay? If he can't accept you for who you are, then you got to let it go. And then you won't be sitting there crying, why me? I remember one time he said to me, uh, you take that church thing too serious. And at the time we were sitting there having a drink because now see I don't allow him to come back, so now I done ventured off the Lord. I done got off the wrong path. I done took a detour because my flesh and all that wanted to be entertained. So as he was sitting there saying that and we were drinking some cognac, I thought it was funny. Okay, you know how people say stuff to you, and you just you know it's wrong. You know it hits you the wrong way, but you will go along with it just because you want peace. Baby, don't do that no more. Because if you do, you're gonna be continuous in that. Why me? Why he ain't married me? Why did he leave me for someone else? Why he ain't divorced his wife? Why I'm going through this baby mama drama? When you keep on appeasing other people. So, excuse me, I thought somebody was knocking on my door. So, I just popped in here for a few moments to tell whoever it is that might be sitting, talking, and going through this why me syndrome. Why me? Why he won't marry me? Why I don't look this way? Why he likes the other people? Why this? Why that? Why I'm short? Why I'm tall? Why I'm fat? Why I'm dark? Why I'm da 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 da. It's gonna be always why me. It's always gonna be questions, but the answers come because you are the answer to the question. So, however do you depend to answer the why me depends on you. And so you can instead of saying why me, you can say why not? I can do better. Why not? I can let this go. Why not? I can be anything God says I can be. Because, see, now you're thinking about the possibilities of you changing or you have changed and you're looking forward. You're giving yourself grace. You're giving yourself um, the ability to know that all things is possible if you really believe in yourself. So, y'all, on that note, Dr. Day just wanted to end this with stop saying, why me? Stop having that victim mentality and say, why not? Why not the possibility of me pursuing every dream that I wanted and have in me to pursue? Why not can I do this by myself with God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost leading me and guiding me? Why? 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 Why not the possibilities that I can do something different instead of being in that woe pity party? Why me syndrome on the bad end, or say, why, how can I do something different with my why, why? Stop asking why and do something different. So, y'all, on that note, Dr. Day says, see ya.